The GCRX Radio Network presents the Your Favorite Guy podcast, brought to you by the Downtown Diner. Classic American diner food, open Tuesday through Friday, located right here in downtown Granite City.
Hey, hey, hey! All you beautiful people, all of you beautiful people, it's Monday, and it was 105 degrees in my car, and I'm wearing long sleeves, because apparently I don't know any better.
Must be a New York thing.
Wearing long jeans is a New York thing. And I'm going to tell you why. Like, we'll sweat through the jeans. We don't sweat through the jeans. The jeans are usually baggy enough that you sweat, but you don't sweat convection through your jeans. But the good news is we also don't get attacked by our wildlife, like the New York City rats or pigeons, because we're constantly wearing jeans. It's like our armor. Like Tim's. I've never owned a pair of Tim's, but it's our armor.
No New York City person should ever starve. I mean, if you're homeless, just eat the pigeons.
I saw a couple weeks ago a falcon take out a pigeon out here.
No.
I'm in St. Charles and I see feathers and I'm like, what is this? and sure enough, I looked down and to the left, and just outside the driver's side of my car, there was a falcon, and in his talons he had a pigeon, and I was like, "Oh,
Dinner.
that's gangster." But what's equally as amazing is, and I guess pigeons are not the strongest, form of wildlife. I watched a New York City subway rat take out a pigeon.
Wow,
and that was impressive to me. I was like, I've seen them take pizza. I've seen them take chicken from KFC. I've seen them go to town on a lot of different just types of food, and nothing, not a zip, zero, zilch. Like, they have no fear.
I mean, everybody's used to them.
Yeah, and also no, but yeah. Guys, it is so good to be in front of you this week. It is Monday. I am Brian with a Y. This is the Your Favorite Guy podcast. And I got to tell you, it's kind of out of the blue, and it's fine. It's totally okay. This happens to be the season finale. There are a couple of things that happened that led up to this decision, because I kid you not, like, I kind of decided today after a quick production meeting with my producer and engineer, I was like, hey, so what do you feel about like having a summer hiatus and then coming back? There was a whole lot more to this conversation than this, but it was very much a question of, we can kind of refine some things with the show and, just kind of move forward from there. And he was like, that sounds like they were like, that sounds like a really great idea. So yeah, it was conversation. I'm saying they, like, it wasn't just me and Bill. Like, I don't even know.
I mean, that's two people. That's they, right?
That's they. Yeah. Like, in the third person, The Rock said, no, wait, that's copyrighted, right? I don't know. Anyway, if the WWE is watching the show, cool, like, please, by all means, send us a cease and desist. I would love that note.
I frame it.
Boom. They told us to stop saying like that. I would hang it right next to the, anyway. We'll be coming back September 8th, and this isn't the end of the show. We're just getting started here, folks. But September 8th is when we'll be coming back. We'll have merch. We'll have new sponsors. We'll have a whole lot of other things that we're moving forward with. And I'm super excited about what season 2 has to bring. We're going to have some of our old guests and some new guests, and possibly a co-host. I don't know. It's going to be a thing, but we'll find out, because it's the season finale and the season premiere. You'll have to see all of the new things that you didn't see in the first season, and some of the old stuff that you saw in the first season, and some of the things that you wanted to see that you didn't see enough of, or you didn't see at all in this season, you'll see next season or seasons afterwards. So it'll be great.
It's a lot of seasoning.
That's a lot of seasoning. It's like how I season my food. It's
not
usually
very well.
Entirely too much. It's more than just salt and pepper. In any case, on the show tonight, back like she never left, my dear awesome niece, Kaylee.
Hi, I'm back again. I
Yeah,
think it's my
yeah.
third time on the show.
It is. That
think
makes
so.
you, outside of, I think, Nick Drago, that's like, you're the most consistent guest we've had. So that's
Awesome.
really awesome.
Happy to be here.
Now, off camera, we have two people off camera. We've got Dee Dee sitting in the chair over there. We're not going to show her.
I won't do it. No,
don't do it. Don't do it.
I won't. I promise.
Okay, cool. There she was. And and down here was Taylor. You might see her waving her hand.
Her hand's not tall enough.
Her hand's not tall enough. She's not tall
I think
enough.
you can see her. If
She's
you can't
actually
see.
standing up, but she's so short we can't see her. Which is why last
Show
time
my
she was
screen.
on the show.
Hold on.
There it is.
No, Kaylee just has an arm leg.
An arm leg. Last time she was on the show, she was here with Curtis, and she sat in the chair, and I think Curtis sat on the arm, which worked out just fine. But yeah, she is that short. I need to stop playing with people. Last weekend, I was in for a surprise awakening because I found out that one of my vertically challenged friends was not, at some point in the past, a fan of like little people. Okay. And I was like, why are you so upset about little people? Because y'all are like the same height. And then that evening, y'all, a little person got in my car, and I'm going to tell you, it t me up real bad. Like I was like, didn't expect that. I love little people. Big fan. Taylor, huge fan of yours. Huge fan. So I am looking down because she really is down that low. But yeah, it's hilarious. I was not ready for that. It was hilarious. It was God telling me, you keep talking that stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess I do. So I'm gonna stop. In any case, gosh, I ain't even received my word of the day from y'all.
Oh, darn it.
That'll be a part of the show for next season. The word of the day. It's going to be one of those quintessential keystones. Every episode, the team will give me a word that I must incorporate into the show.
Flawlessly.
Yes.
As if you used it in your everyday vocabulary.
Right. If I don't, it'll be like defenestration right out the window. Just so much gobbledygook. That was such a great episode. They were so mad. In any case, quick update. Last week, for anybody who saw last week's show, I very much came in and I said, I'm not feeling super great. And it turns out I wasn't. And it wasn't just the heat of the lights or my winning personality. It legitimately was. I was not feeling great.
It was Ebola.
I freaking wish.
Wow.
Oof.
You wish?
I mean, okay. So Ebola is, no, wait, that's sickle cell. Never mind. Forget it.
You don't want sickle cell either.
No, but did you know that if you had sickle cell, that's the body's natural response and mutation to malaria?
I did not know that. No.
Nor did I. If you have Ebola, you die pretty quickly.
Yeah, you bleed out of all types of orifices.
Yeah.
One good fart could probably clear you of 3 or 4 liters of blood.
Oof.
Anyway, so I wasn't feeling great last week. And I came on the show and I was like, all right, we're going to be short. It's going to be sweet. We'll kind of knock this out super quick. And it was a 24-minute show. Decent. Talked about, what was it? Last week's topic was, oh my God.
I don't remember.
I
was so tired.
I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out part of the reason I was exhausted, well, let me just tell you the whole story. So, and I'll be quick. So I wasn't feeling well. The next day, I ended up laid out on my living room floor, feeling numbness and a dull sensation like in my kidney region. And the very next day, my my temperature, I took my temperature and it was 102.8. So I was like, I should go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They started pulling tubes of blood. They asked me to pee in a cup. And I was like, okay. It took forever for that to happen. It took forever for them to pull a tube of blood. I was dehydrated like it was nobody's business. Hence the water. But in addition to that, part of the dehydration, I wasn't flushing things out of my system as quickly as I needed to. Also on Tuesday, I told you I would tell you what happened with the MLO exam. I failed. I bombed miserably. I couldn't understand it. I was very disappointed in myself. And I think the most important part was I beat myself up entirely too long about my loss. The questions didn't seem to make sense. I couldn't understand why I was responding this way, and I was frustrated, and I thought I had failed myself, my family. It was a whole Japanese thing, like just go away, like I've dishonored my family. Anyway, I thought of myself as quite the loser, largely because I had taken this test and the practice exams and I had done pretty well, but something was off. So I get this 102 degree fever. I go to 102.8 degree fever. I go off to the hospital. They pull a tube of my blood, a couple tubes. They pulled blood from me. And apparently the red blood cells in them were so badly damaged, they had to pull more blood. Never in my life have I heard of this, but this all has to do with what happened. I had myself a bacterial infection, and it also happened to be a urinary tract infection. That was the whole thing. And I was just so blown away by the fact that I had one. Cause like, how? There's a lot of factors, and I had one. So I'm on antibiotics like a mofo right now, and I'm drinking a lot of water. So far for the day, I've gone through 1.5 liters plus 24 ounces of cranberry juice. And this is another 24 ounces of water. This is a whole lot easier to schlep around than I left the bottle in the car. It's 1.5 liter bottle. But even outside of that, I can't really have sugar or caffeine because those are really acidic and that'll ruin what's going on with the antibiotics. I can't have lemon water, which is how I found out that I did have a UTI, because I was drinking lemon water like crazy out of this. And in the process, my urine smelled really foul. And I was like, there's something wrong. So yeah, it's summer. Let's take care of ourselves, guys. I'm off antibiotics later this week. I go see my doctor on Wednesday. I'll have an update for you. I'll be journaling this summer so that I can have wonderful stories for you guys. And yeah, so it's going to be a fun round. And I just realized that it's been about 13 minutes of me talking, so I'm going to stop. But I do want to open up for a conversation on whatever we're going to talk about today, which is, I don't know, we're going to call this the Seinfeld episode or something. I don't know. It'll be a great conversation about anything and nothing, and all of it is going to be relevant. So how you been?
I've been pretty good. I'm just interested in the conversation, just listening. I've been pretty good. Got a new job that I love. That's
Great.
really
What you
fun.
doing?
I am a camp counselor for the Girl Scouts, which is super cool. For anyone who's listening who does not know me personally, I'm in a sorority at St. Louis University. It's Kappa Delta, and their philanthropy organization that we work with is the Girl Scouts. We work with the Girl Scouts, and we work with Preventing Child Abuse America. But we primarily work with the Girl Scouts in terms of like hands-on stuff and doing stuff like that with them. So it was kind of like a opportunity that I felt like was already up my alley. And I took the job and I love it. I'm there like all week though. Like I live there for like the week. Like I do overnights there. Yep.
Fun.
It's really fun though.
Okay, so here's and this is a very important question. Hear me out
Sure.
on this, okay?
Sure.
Does this mean you get discounts on cookies?
I get free cookies.
What?
I get free cookies.
Bill's head popped up, so he was like, "Wait,
So-
hold on."
Why am I just now hearing about
I get
this?
free cookies. We have a bunch of people who will come in. They'll like bring cookies from corporate and stuff like that, and we just take boxes home whenever we want. I've had combined while being there. I've worked there for 3 weeks so far. 3 weeks like of just straight weeks working there. I've brought home 2 boxes of Thin Mints and 1 box of Adventurefuls.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one with the brownie
Mm-hmm.
with the caramel in the center?
Mm-hmm.
Fire.
Mm.
Guys, just let me know what you want.
Thin
Yep.
Mints. Thin Mints.
I still have.
I will go into a diabetic coma over Thin Mints.
I love Thin Mints. They're forever my favorite Girl Scout cookie.
Have you ever dropped one in a cup of coffee?
No,
Give it a shot.
I will. But do you guys freeze yours? Put them in the
Yes.
freezer?
They're
it's the only
like,
way to eat them.
for some reason, they're better that way.
It's the only
Yeah.
way to eat them. It's
Same
because
with
they're
Snickers.
minty.
Yeah, Snickers.
they're
Except
minty.
you got to be like,
Have you
I
had one of the
bite into
Snickers ice
Snicker.
cream bars?
oh, those are good.
Oh yeah. Funny story about Snickers ice cream bars.
Oh, God, here we go.
Oh no.
So, my mother, who we will call momentarily, you know what? We're gonna call her for this because she remembers Snickers ice cream bars for they were low-key traumatic for me for a while. Please, please. Oh, here we go. They were low-key traumatic because of this story. If she picks up, we'll do the mom minute.
She knows what you're up to.
Watch her like not answer because she's doing one of these things. She's killing me. Mom, how I go to voicemail? I'm so mad. I'm gonna text my sister, tell her, get mom on the phone. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so I was at a friend's house up in Rye, New York, and there we go. While we were up there, what setting is this? Okay, it's not on. Okay, the focus mode. So while we were up there, I had this ice cream bar, and I didn't know that my mom knew. I didn't know that my mom knew that I already had one. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have another one because I'm being greedy. I was like,
Because I'm getting greedy.
I'm being greedy. I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I was just being greedy. And sure enough, I had this Snickers ice cream bar, and my mom said to me, oh, hey, let me have that. And I was like, no. So I started to run, and oh my God.
Is she calling you now?
No, it's my sister. She's definitely not like getting mom on the phone. Anyway, so my mother chased me, and my mom ran track in high school. This was not something that I was prepared for. That woman can move. All right. And she's still not answering. I can't believe this. This is absolutely, does she not know the show must go on? She's killing me. She's probably doing something really important, like not being my mom right now. Anyway, so she ran and she stopped, and her foot stopped, but the grass was a little wet. So her foot stopped, and like her body kept going. She broke her ankle. So this was June, and she spent the next like 2 months either in an air cast or a full cast over the summer. And it was totally my fault. And I kid you not, this was one of those things where I was like, hey, here, mom, you can have it. And she was like, oh, I don't want it now. And I'm like, at first I said, I know you're only doing this to get me close to you so you can take the Snickers bar because I see how fast you are. But then it was, no, she's really hurt. So my friend Charles, his brother Max, like reset the ankle because he was a med student. He reset the ankle right there. and it did not feel good. And then we ended up at the hospital. They put her in an air cast and then in a regular cast. And she just spent the whole summer just in a cast, and it was my fault. So for a long time, I was like, Snickers ice cream bar. Why I want to do that?
Yeah. I don't want that.
Broke my mama's ankle. Oops. What was that? Oh.
Man.
Because I'm being a big back.
Wow.
Listen, I could be a big back in the day because I could kill an entire like large pizza by myself when I was like 15
That's
or
called
16.
metabolism.
That's what it was. When I was 15 or 16, I could destroy. And yo, we got another one. Like, let's do this. Now, I'm 3 slices in and I'm going.
It is weird being so one of the things about being a camp counselor that is interesting to me is I will ask some of the campers, because we'll have campers that are like younger. Our youngest campers are probably like 6, 7, 8, and then our oldest campers are like 14, like about ready to go into high school. Like those are the oldest that we'll get. That's kind of the range we get. But it's interesting because I'll ask them to guess how old I am. Just because, like, I'm like, well, they're not much younger than me, but I'm like seen as an adult to them, obviously. So I asked them how old did they think I am, and I've gotten 13, I've gotten 14, I've gotten 15, I've gotten 35. Somebody said that I was 3.5 million years old.
She was 6 or 7, wasn't she?
Yes, and these campers are also just ruthless. Because like they were asking to take pictures with me all week. This was my very first set of campers that we had, which would have been the second week that I worked, because the first week was like staff training. So we were getting all the training that we needed to be prepared for camp. But she's like, can we take a picture? And she asks me to take a 0.5 on my phone. And she tells me to put my phone down like at this angle and take a picture of us like this from like down below. And she zooms in on my face in the picture. And all she says to me, she's dead serious. She goes, "Okay, double chin." And I was like, what? What?
So you picked her up and threw her in the lake?
No, I like my job. And ironically, I liked her because she's sassy, but I was like, what? I'm sorry, what? She was brutal. The first like little circle that we were sitting in. I love her, by the way. If anyone from the Girl Scout community somehow comes across this, I love my job. I love the campers. They're very funny. But anyways, we were sitting in this little circle and we were just like doing like icebreaker questions so that the girls could all like get to know each other. And one of the girls butts in and says something like, we were all talking about ice cream flavors. She was like, I really like strawberry ice cream. Like no one said that yet, but I love strawberry ice cream. And the girl that I was just talking about that said, okay, double chin, she looks over and she's like, wow, you're not like other girls. Like, and I was like, oh, wow. Just a little ball of sass.
I don't know about this.
Little ball of sass.
Yo, for
They're
real.
funny. We have a whole quote book of like things that they've said to us that are funny so far this summer. It's a good time.
Yeah, there's a quote book, a quote chapter in my memoir that I haven't written yet and should probably start. I always thought it was interesting that people would have memoirs, because it's like, what makes you think that you are so interesting
That you need a memoir.
that other people would want to know your life? And then I've read some memoirs and I'm like, yep, I wanted to know that. I didn't know prior to this right here, right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did want to know that. That was, wow, incredible. And you lived through that? Like, yeah.
I'm trying to find one of the good ones that was
yeah,
said.
it's fascinating to me how
Kids just say anything they think.
Yo, there's no filter. There's no being politically correct. I was at church a couple weeks ago. Oh God, this little girl walked up to an adult and she goes, and the woman goes, oh, okay. And now this woman, her mom had just passed, and it was like, oh, this is rough. And we couldn't understand what the little girl said. And she was like, I want to feel your bump. She has like a mole on her forehead.
No.
And so she picks the girl up, and the girl just goes and starts to feel it. And she's like, okay, honey. And like puts her back down on the ground. She's like, I want to feel it. She's like, it's okay. I'm going to continue this. Okay. And just, yeah, it was one of those things that you just kind of go, well,
I have this quote book pulled up, and there's a couple of them that are my favorites.
give us some zingers.
So we were making bird feeders with the campers last week. You take a pine cone, you cover it in peanut butter, and you put bird seed all around it, right? One of the campers goes, if we put jelly on this, it would attract my brother. This one says, my favorite thing to do when I'm bored is jump on my mom and suffocate her until she begs for mercy.
These are all girls.
Yes.
Okay.
This was one that was said to me. So this girl insisted on having a dance competition with me. She wanted me and her to dance like side by side, and then she wanted people to vote for her. She ends up
not vote for the best dancer, but
vote for her. And we knew that, so she ends up winning the competition. She sits down next to me. She goes, if you couldn't tell, when we did the dance competition, more people voted for me because more people were standing with me. I'm up and you're down.
Yo.
And then there was another one that I really liked. Where is it?
These kids are ruthless, yo.
They're something else.
That's an understatement. But yes.
I'm looking, but I found one earlier. We were doing a little icebreaker thing. We had these little cards that had like icebreaker questions, and the card said, use 3 words to describe yourself. Everyone's going around using 3 words. And the one girl lets out a deep sigh. She goes, complicated. That's the only word she said. She's like, I don't have any other words.
Wow.
Just complicated.
4 syllables.
How old are these girls?
This specific girl was 8. She's like, I'm just complicated. I was like, that's
okay, Avril.
Right. Right.
Kids
They're
are,
funny.
I'll tell you, kids really are. I love Julia. She very much
She's
hit me with some zingers.
She's something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
she gets it from all of us though. We hash it out.
Yo, for
all
real.
the time.
Like one of the things that she said to me, I can't say that. What? Oh, yeah. Call me a chocolate man. That was pretty funny. Yeah, that was funny. We were down in Kimswick probably about 4 years ago for their strawberry festival.
I just went there this year.
And it was really funny because I mean, I'm a little pepper in a sea of salt. Okay. And she identifies me not by this here, but by the Hamilton shirt that I'm wearing. Like of all things, the Hamilton shirt. And she was like waving and she was really excited. And Amy was like, yeah, she spotted you. I was like, yeah, because I'm the only black guy here. She's like, no, because you're the only one wearing a Hamilton shirt. That's why. And I was like,
that checks.
Yeah,
that does track. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that day I almost ended up with heat stroke because that Hamilton shirt was all black.
Yep.
And it was like 95 degrees.
What are your thoughts on the Tony's performance? Also, what are your thoughts on Lin-Manuel Miranda being at the Muni last week?
So I will tell you my thoughts. I have been so tunnel visioned on my career in life that I found out after the fact that he was at the Tonys for the 10th anniversary, which was like stellar. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
That's insane. The full cast pretty much was there.
The whole cast. Yeah. Which now means it was 10 years ago that I ran the marathon, which is equally as dope. I'll bring that medal in next season. First week in November. It'll be the 3rd, but I'll bring that in. him at the Muni, I found out after the fact. Otherwise, oh no, that was what, Tuesday? Thursday. Yeah, I was still very much in recovery. I wouldn't have found myself out there at all.
Yeah.
Because I remember I finally left the house to do something other than die at the hospital. And I was like, okay. They hit me with some really strong antibiotics. But yeah, it would have, if I had known he was going to be at the Muni, yeah, there's no chance that I would have been at home. If I were well and I knew that he was going to be at the Muni, there's no reason for me to be at home.
I found out because one of my friends had posted a picture of her at the show that night. I don't know what's showing there right now, but she was at the show. She's a frequent theater person, though. She's at the Fox and the Muni all the time. I wish I was, but I just am not. But anyway, she was there, and then the next thing she posted, she's like, I just met Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, met him, which is very different from come from sorry.
What is it?
Come From Away.
I haven't seen it.
Come From Away is, if this is the show I think it is, this is the show where it's 9/11, 2001. And flights are grounded, and I think it's somewhere in Europe, like Sweden or Finland, where the town is now inundated with Americans and just people who are traveling to New York, and they are going, like, they're just trying to figure out kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody recorded it as a story and then brought that story to life.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I would love to see that. Inventories. I don't know. No, stop. I just want to, okay. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much what the show is about. I am always, I don't want to say triggered, but I am alert. And it wasn't until last year when somebody was talking about 9/11 that I had my first panic attack. Because I certainly was driving, and the guy in the back seat was like, yeah, man, so what was that like? And I'm like trying to hold it together. I drop him off. I go around the corner. I grip the steering wheel. I'm like, and it was a thing. I probably need therapy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. More than just that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I want to ask your thoughts on the Sinners movie, because we were having a conversation about this. To give my spiel on how I feel about it,
with no spoilers.
With no spoilers, because I will not spoil anything. And if I do, I will like this probably. So I am a big movie person. I always have been. I always will be. And I feel like I speak for most people when I say that a lot of the films we've been given in theaters in the past, I would argue half a decade, give or take, have been terrible for the most part. We've had a couple blockbusters, but
10 years.
You would say 10 years?
10 years. Like, God, no one wanted to see the Fantastic Four movie with Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
That was awful.
I will say the last time that I had felt like I actually genuinely enjoyed a movie that I went and saw, and I'm talking like a serious movie here. Like, I'm not talking about like, because I went and saw like the live action Lilo and Stitch. Like, I'm not talking like Disney.
Family.
I'm not talking about like that kind of genre. I'm talking about more heavily
grounded in reality
kind of movie. I really enjoyed Barbie, but aside from Barbie, the last time I had experienced a movie that I genuinely liked would have been Endgame, which was like 2019.
Can you imagine if, and hear me out here, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe had started in 2009 with Iron Man, we all would have been screwed for Endgame, because Endgame would have come out April of 2020 when the world had shut down weeks before, and that would have been it.
Yep.
Like, we all would have been like, wait, the last thing that we saw together was Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Uh-uh.
Not okay.
No.
Not okay.
But for Sinners, I feel like Sinners was the first movie in a long time that I had seen in a theater that I genuinely fully had pretty much zero complaints about. And
Wicked?
okay, Wicked is an exception. But I say that I did not include that solely based on the fact that it is an interpretation of a musical.
I'll
and
give
I've
you that.
I have seen the musical before in full length, so I understand the plot and I anticipated what was coming. Wicked, I think, was incredible, but I'm talking about like original movie.
Yep.
Made by
Not
someone
based on something else.
Ryan Coogler, right?
Mhm.
Ryan Coogler is a genius to me. I think he's phenomenal. I think that the screenplay was great. I think that the casting was great. I think that the premises of the film was great. I liked his interpretation on vampires because I think that there are a lot of films where vampires, have very basic characteristics, but one thing I really loved about the movie was that he still kept the human nature of the vampire whenever the movie was created. Like there was still a soul inside of that person. It wasn't fully lost, which is I think something that gets mistranslated, misinterpreted, or like lost in other vampire films.
Mhm.
And I just felt like it was a lot more original and authentic, and I appreciated the storytelling. And I have absolutely zero complaints about the score of the film.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible.
It was
It was so good.
The score was great. The thing that took me to the movie, it's one line. We've talked about it. I can't say it here.
If you know, you know.
If
honestly,
you know. There's so many people on TikTok and Instagram, they just kind of do the voice edit. I waited for you. If you know, you know. Okay.
You know.
Cool. So, do you know where vampires originated, like the whole lore and the mythos of vampires?
I do not. No, I do not.
Okay. So we've got to go back to Wallachia. God, in 10th grade, I did a paper on this guy, Vlad Dracul Tepes. It was his Dracula because his father was Dracul. So Dracula is like son of Dracul. But yeah, if you've read The Prince by Machiavelli, this is kind of the perfect interpretation of who like Vlad Tepes was. Vlad Tepes was also known as Vlad the Impaler. He very much loved the people of Wallachia. Wallachia was constantly under attack by the Ottoman Turks. Turkey, Greece, that area of the world was the Ottoman Empire. And good old Vlad had a very interesting way of keeping people out of his country and his principality. He would impale them.
Right.
But cut down a tree, dig it in the ground. Okay. Bury it nice and sturdy and deep. And then he would bury it after he had sharpened the top like a pencil. And then he would impale a human being from their groin straight down while they were alive. So sometimes the pike came out their chest. Sometimes it was the mouth. Sometimes these guys were still twitching when their friends showed up from the Ottoman Empire. And as like a line of defense, he had this line of pikes with men just twitching, entering rigor mortis if they weren't groaning for their lives. And it was really kind of interesting to write about this guy because, I mean, they said all types of stuff. Like he used to bathe in the blood of virgins, and he would drink blood before going into battle. None of it really confirmed, but that was... Bye, Taylor. She's leaving. I'm waving to her right now. But yeah, that was kind of his thing. And he would that's how he defended his people. So his people feared him. They loved him because he protected them, but they also feared him because of some of the ways that he handled situations inside the community. Like there was a goblet made of gold. It had jewels in it, sapphires, rubies, emeralds, things like that. And it was a goblet that was made for water consumption. If you were traveling through town, you would just get this, you would fill it with water, you would take a drink, you put it right back where you got it from. Like that was the whole point. So that the next traveler, when they didn't really know about germs the way we do, so who cares? Everybody drank after everybody. Everybody had herpes and gonorrhea. Anyway, so
Herpes and gonorrhea.
So
Crazy.
you would just drink and you'd put it back. So he frames this one guy, frames him on purpose for stealing this goblet. And he was like, you want to steal the gold? That's cool. Brings out a treasure chest. Eat it. Now, here's what's interesting about gold. You can eat gold. It doesn't break down in stomach acid. It doesn't. It just kind of, especially solid gold, which is what these coins were made of. So this man somehow manages to eat this entire treasure chest of gold. And he is moaning and groaning. And Vlad goes, oh, so you're trying to best me? That's cool. Bring out another one. This guy gets like 4 gold pieces in and dies.
It
All right.
probably clogged his digestive system.
Completely, 100%.
Yeah.
He's eating nothing but pure gold. So he dies, and his body is left rotting in the square for an undetermined amount of time, just because. And nobody touched the gold that he was supposed. Well, how long are we supposed to leave it there? Until he finishes the second chest. My lord, he's dead. Until he finishes the second chest. Well, okay then. I guess we're just going to leave it there. The smell is getting to me. Get rid of all of it. Like, oh, okay. And did anybody steal the gold out of the man after his decomposing corpse like rotted? No, they did not. Everything was accounted for, because I'll be damned if I'm the next guy who ends up like him. That's not a thing. So yes, Vlad Tepes. Most recently, he's kind of been seen in the Castlevania series on Netflix, which is really just great. Animation is real fun. The story is awesome. And yeah, so there's all that. And they just released Nosferatu, I think, in 2024, which was a remake of Nosferatu from 1922.
Yep. It has Lily Rose Depp in it.
Lily Rose Depp is in Johnny Depp's kid?
I think. I know Lily Rose Depp is in it, though. I'm positive. Hold on. I'll look it up.
Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård, and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Really?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily Rose Depp. It would make sense that Bill Skarsgård would play him.
Willem Dafoe.
I love Willem
and
Dafoe.
Emma Corrin? Yeah. So the one that I saw in the 1922 version, I saw that in 1998. And I was floored because it was a silent film. And back then they played the score like live. There was no score. It was me sitting in a classroom at school with a tape just playing this. And I was like, well, damn, like this is the story is pretty riveting. But so he's lonely. Okay, I get it. But yeah. Vampires are I don't know, they're very interesting because they turn into bats, they fly, they can traverse, they can go over water, some of them can't. They have to be invited in. Like, there's so much that's involved in the making of the myth.
It's fascinating too that like we will adopt something as a society simply because society says so. Like I had a very long conversation with a couple of my friends.
What?
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 It was an example of something that society has adopted.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
But we have
Because society says so. That was the cue in my brain. Continue.
But we were having a conversation. I went on a float trip with a few friends of mine this weekend. It was very quick. We went on the float trip on Saturday, and then we drove back yesterday. But we stayed overnight in a cabin. It was a good time. But anyway, we were driving back with our friends, and we got into the conversation. We just kept talking and talking and talking until eventually we boiled down to like the like ultimate question, where it's like society has kind of developed what is moral and what's not moral. So how do you know that something's moral or how it's not? Because we've developed that thinking process as human beings. Like the only creature on this planet that has developed like a moral compass is humans, because we've created the moral compass. Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
The only reason we have like, and we were having an argument about like which like living thing is the most complex, the most emotional, and we were arguing between like certain types of animals and certain types of humans. But I would argue that humans are the most emotionally complex, and I say that because I think that we as a society, we as human beings, have created emotions that don't exist in other species. Does that make sense?
Vulcans and Romulans.
I don't even know what a Romulan is.
Romulans are cousins of the Vulcans. So
They're
Vulcans have chosen to suppress their emotions. Romulans are like,
whatever.
I'm emotional.
Yeah.
Flip the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that to me begs the question, to go back to that, is like I feel like a lot of the emotions that we see in animals are very specific. So like they express anger, they demonstrate like anger. Some animals demonstrate embarrassment, like the way a dog gets embarrassed when they do something they know they're not supposed to. They get embarrassed. Or like they experience sadness, they experience grief like humans do. But like, again, I feel like there are specific emotions that human beings have that animals do not possess, because I think that there are certain emotions that you experience that require a trigger of like a human thing. Does that make sense? Like if you think about it, most animals don't get married, quote unquote. That's a human thing. That's a human thing that we do. Most animals.
Then we try to marry, like, oh, my dog married your dog.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Most animals don't experience marriage. Most animals don't experience dating in the way that human beings experience dating. But a flood of emotions, specific emotions, come from the loss of a person who hasn't died. Does that make sense? Like going through a breakup.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
We experience very specific emotions from
never want to do that again.
Going through a breakup. We experience specific emotions from specific events that happen, and they're events that only humans really experience. Because if you think about a dog's life, for example, if you think about a dog's life routine, very usually in most cases, routine, same set of activities they do every single day. You know, they go on walks, or they eat, or they sleep, or they play outside, you know, like they do stuff like that. Or they pee
on your floor.
Or they pee on your floor.
Yeah.
Or they get embarrassed because they did something they weren't supposed to. But they have very specific set of daily living situations, living routines, things that they do every day. Whereas humans, you know, we're constantly experiencing new things. We're constantly going different places. We're constantly traveling, or like having to run errands, or doing random things that generate different emotions.
I think it's directly tied to the complexity of the brain.
I agree.
I think that you see very few emotions in animals with smaller brains, less complex brains.
Yeah.
Because the brain can be small and still have a complexity to it. But there are certain animals that have smaller brains that are very low complexity. But as you get into things like primates, you see a lot more emotion.
Yeah.
Although they're not able to speak it, those who can sign, like have learned sign language, can express it, and you can see it in their face. There's a lot more emotional complexity there. And I think that we bring some of the emotional complexity of our nature on ourselves.
I agree.
With the problems that we have created for ourselves daily and societal problems.
So that begs another question that got brought up in the car. Do you guys think that if we were to completely wipe out the human race, that our world as we know it right now would be better.
Well, I believe that when Skynet comes online and it figures out that it would
Already is.
yeah, and it figures out that that's the problem, then I don't know that our world would be better. It would be better for those who are left, the animals.
Because I mean, if you think about it in reality, this is another thing that got brought up, is like, I would venture to guess that 99% of the problems that currently occur on the earth right now are human made.
Yes.
Human beings are, you're right, they are complex. One of the things that, like, if you look at the movies like The Matrix, right? The Matrix and Terminator are two sides of the same story. But looking at The Matrix, we tried to make a utopia where everyone was happy, and that Matrix collapsed. Like, why? Because part of the human experience is to overcome whatever it is that is thrown at us. Like, we adapt.
Yeah.
We're built to adapt.
Well, and we're not built to sit still. You know, if you took a group of people, enough to keep the gene pool going, of course, and you placed them on an Earth-like planet, you would likely see the same kind of evolution. Of course, it would probably be faster than our, societal evolution was, because of the set of skills those groups of people would have. But you'd see the same thing. There'd be, an early age with primitive tools, industrial age, and then they develop technology, and we discover these things again. It would happen the same way, because we don't sit still.
Well, and I feel like humans thrive on struggle.
Yeah.
We would not have inventions. We would not create things had there not been a need or a demand for it. And if we were to sit still and never need anything, never do anything, there's no evolution, there's no creation, there's no expression given, because we don't need it. And I think I would argue to say as well that most of the people I know that are like the most emotionally intelligent people that I know have been through some things, you know what I mean? Like, they have faced struggle. They have had to overcome challenges in their lifetime. And it wasn't just like sunshine and rainbows for them all the time. Like, I believe that's how humans grow. That's how you become more emotionally mature. That's how you become more logical. That's how you become more creative. It's like you need something to become creative off of. And that usually is a struggle of some kind.
One thing that I've noticed, to piggyback on what you said, people who have suffered loss, like, you want to see somebody who's really compassionate, find yourself a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
You want to see somebody who is really like, you know what? It's really just not that serious. Find somebody who's been to war, who has watched like a Vietnam vet. Somebody who, I had an English teacher in 10th grade. Can't remember his name for the life of me. Dude had been to Nam, and he was supposed to be a Green Beret, but he couldn't bring himself to kill a kid. And they were like, well, you don't qualify. And he was like, all right, cool. I ain't killing a kid. Well, what if
honorable
that kid,
discharge for me?
Right. What if that kid was the one who was responsible for, ratting out your entire platoon and wiping your entire platoon out? Yeah, I'm still not doing it. But he said at one point on deployment, he had a guy who had entered his platoon who happened to survive what I'm about to explain on 3 different occasions. The Viet Cong would sneak into the tent and kill every other man. So when you wake up, you look to your left, the guy to your left is dead. You look to your right, the guy to your right is dead. That's psychological trauma on a whole new level. And to the fact that he survived this on 3 different occasions, there was survivor's guilt. There was like, how was I never the one? Like, obviously they're the ones who were lucky because they died and I didn't. Like, I've got to live with this emotional baggage that I dealt with this for, so many. And he would just wake up. This dude, he came back to America. He got married. had kids, but there was the whole waking up and screaming because the horror of what he had witnessed on 3 different occasions. And it's just like, oof, you want to find somebody who doesn't, who wants to not be passive, not a pacifist, but somebody who really values peace. Find somebody who's been to war.
100%.
With that struggle comes that elevation of emotional intelligence, like you said, with that, like thinking about Captain America, somebody who didn't have strength, or more recently, as I'm in my 9th time watching this show now. Don't judge me. And if you do, I don't care. Solo Leveling, where this guy is like the weakest of everyone. He's the weakest of all hunters. And then he gets the ability to be the only person in his world to level up. And he becomes unbelievably powerful. Did he take revenge on the people who abandoned him? Absolutely not. He did everything he could to defend them and everyone else. It just became this situation where it was like, yeah, I can't let what happened to me happen to anybody else. I won't do that.
Yeah. And I think a great example of that off the bat is like people with generational trauma. So like, for example, someone who grew up in a very abusive home or abusive family, they do everything in their power as parents to never let their kids see an ounce of that from themselves. Like, it's this voice inside your head that's like, I will not be like this. I will not do this. I will not let my kids experience what I experienced. Or it's like that mentality where it's like, you grew up poor. You grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of money.
That's what I was going to say.
You have this incessant desire to like, I need to make sure my kids get everything they've ever wanted. I need to make sure my kids have everything that they could ever imagine.
And a lot of times that turns into a hoarding habit too, because like there are people who went through the Depression, the Great Depression, where they didn't have anything, and they just hold on to things. Like, they will have a house full of some things useful, some things absolutely useless, because, well, what if something happens again? And if it does, I've at least got stuff I can barter, or I can fix things, or, like, I know that some of the, saving food back in the day, you look in grandma's basement and there's a shelf full of, jarred food and everything, that like, that's a habit of like, hey, we're going to save some money here and do that. But like, some of it is also like, hey, I went through a time where
we couldn't.
Right. So I have 85 jars of green beans, because if it does happen again, we gonna eat.
Right. Or in a situation, and I'm using this as a point of reference, somebody who's lived through the Depression and they've got a jar of buttons. Well, we didn't have anybody who could sew a button on a shirt. So I kept the buttons. And if something happens, guess what? I'm sewing the buttons on the shirt. I'm talking about a jar this size. This whole, I can't even tell. It says it's 13.4 ounces, but no, like a jar that's this big full of buttons. Oh, I know I have one here somewhere. This one's the right size. Like, oh my goodness.
I was watching, so I like watching those hoarders episodes, and then there's this guy, his YouTube channel's Midwest Magic Cleaning, and he goes through and he'll do a lot of free cleanups, kind of like the guy that goes through and mows people's grass for free.
He's great.
I love that guy.
Totally awesome. This guy will go through and anti-hoard people's house. For views on YouTube and stuff, and do it for him for free. But one of the things he said, he's like, I think the saddest thing, or the most eye-opening thing about having a house full of stuff, is that everywhere you look, all of that used to be money.
Yep.
All of it used to be money. It can't be money again, or it can't be the same amount of money. And in a lot of situations in hoarder houses where, there's mouse and roach infestations, and it's just disgusting. It's all worthless. You can't even donate it, because you'll cause the stuff that has been donated to be ruined by the infestations. But yeah, all of it, that was kind of eye-opening for me, thinking about like decluttering and getting rid of some of your stuff. It's like, all of that used to be money.
But it's just this, like, I don't know how to explain it any better than it's just this like internal, like, it just eats at you.
Yep.
It's just something where it's like, you feel it so deeply inside of you, and it's like it also stems from a place of like resentment towards a certain thing. You know what I mean? Like resentment towards a certain event, resentment towards a certain like person in your life who did this to you, who
Mhm.
you experienced this from, where you're now like, I have to do everything in my absolute power to make sure that this never happens to me, someone else, or like especially in the generational case, like my children.
Right.
You know, it's just like it's such like a powerful thing.
It's amusing. Amusing is the wrong word. It's interesting, funny, interesting, not funny, haha. It's funny, interesting to me to see something like that play out. Like I ask people this question pretty often. What's the difference between the hero and the villain? Takers? Any idea?
My personal opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on the situation. I think it's just two people who want two different things.
You're right. They have the same backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So the villain, I've had this very traumatic thing happen to me, and I want everybody in the world to experience this because this is pain and everyone needs to know my pain.
Mm-hmm.
The hero says this very traumatic thing happened to me and I don't want anybody to experience this. So I'm going to do everything I can to save people from experiencing this thing, which is how you end up with a Steve Rogers with no super soldier serum jumping on what he thought was a live grenade saying, everybody leave, everybody.
Oh my gosh, I love that scene.
That scene just, it says so much about him. You know, it's like, oh, so it's a heart thing more than anything else. Absolutely. I don't want anybody to suffer what I'm going to suffer or what I have suffered. I've been bullied my whole life.
Yep.
You know, I remember being bullied. I had O'Malley Monroe. I don't care. I'm calling out names. I had O'Malley Monroe who bullied me in first grade. He was the first kid I ever threw a punch at. I connected. It wasn't a very strong punch. That was another kid. He had braids, but I remember I punched him and then I ran home in the snow. And I was just like, And it was like just before a break, like Christmas break. So
you had to think about it all Christmas break.
Oh no, I was not concerned. Like I got ADD like a mug, man. Like I forgot that I was running and my dad was coming to pick me up and I only lived like 3 or 4 blocks, but I was like 6. So I'm running home from school and my dad's like, hey, what's up, bud?
What's going on?
And I was like, well, I just punched the kid and he was bothering me and I punched him and I just ran. And he was like,
okay.
All right. Like you didn't get your butt kicked. All right, cool. And O'Malley was a nightmare. He just tortured me for a couple of years. And I was like, all right. But I did end up moving schools several times because I kept getting picked on. And then at some point, I think it was 8th grade when I went away to school and I learned what a weight room was. And then I see elements in your brother, like nephew. It's just like, oh God, like, I mean, I'm in the weight room listening to all kinds of music. There weren't no like headphones. It was, a CD and you put it in the CD player and
sure it wasn't an 8-track.
I will fight you. But yeah, just listening to CDs and like continuing to outdo my personal best. And I remember being like 15 pressing 285,
That's Andrew.
Yeah, being 15 and leg pressing 480. Like I couldn't really walk afterwards, but good grief. And coming back home and people thinking, yeah, he's on steroids. Like there's no way he beefed up that quick and it was all natural. No, it totally was. I decided to use this as an outlet, but the fact that I first was able to defend myself and then, no, you're not going to pick on this guy. Like what made you think that I was going to allow that to happen while I'm standing here?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to beat your ass. Okay. I get it. I mean, that's cool. I've been waiting for this day.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoa, what's about to happen? I'm about to paint the walls with this dude. That's what's about to happen. And just being in that situation, it was like, oh my, like, why?
Mhm.
Because I was sick of being picked on.
Well, and that was very much my mentality. I was bullied in middle school and like grade school for a long time, and I had a certain level of empathy for the bullies because I was like, you are only this way because you have been treated this way before. Like it was just this thing in my brain where I was like, this is not something that is just naturally inside of you. Like someone else has done this to you and you want other people to feel your pain. And that's why people bully. Is I'm bullying this person because I want another human being to have to feel the way I did when someone did this to me.
Yeah.
And that was how I always felt. I mean, every time I would get bullied, I mean, it would hurt. I mean, I was young. Like, I didn't know how to interpret that. I don't have the emotional capacity that I do now. But, like, there was always a little part of the back of my brain that was like, you hurt my feelings, but I get you. I understand you. Like, I know why you feel this way. But the way that I displayed my emotion was just different than the way they did because I never wanted to bully someone else. I had the mentality that I wanted to never let someone else feel the way that I felt.
Oh, for me, it was,
Revenge.
I'm going to pick you up. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how
Revenge.
I am now capable of doing this.
I have a specific set of
Come on.
skills.
Let's go, pal.
I was never a physical fighter, but I was always a verbal fighter.
Oh, that's how it started. I used to get thrashed because
Yeah.
my words, man. Oof.
I was a very verbal fighter.
Say some things.
Yeah.
Tonight has been a really fun night. I'm going to cap it with this. Season 1 has been really, really interesting, full of a lot of conversations about a lot of things. Launching a new YouTube channel, launching a new Facebook channel, finally going live on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching in the world of YouTube. We'll be back September 8th. It's the week after Labor Day. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, and we're going to work on the format of the show, change the format a little bit, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that tonight's financial tip of the night. Save 10% of your income. Save it. You got 3 buckets, some short-term savings, 3 to 6 months. If anything goes wrong, you get sick, you're unable to work, you don't want to work, your job says you're not working here anymore. You've got 3 to 6 months. Get that squared up.
So you're telling me I have to go buy buckets now?
Yes, you have to go buy buckets. That's bucket number 1. Bucket number 2 is short-term savings. That's like 6 months to 5 years. This is, I'm buying a car. We're going on vacation. I want to buy a house, things of that nature. 6 months to 5 years. And then bucket 3 is long-term savings, investments, retirement. And that's really, those are your 3 major buckets. If you have any questions, you're welcome to write to the show at yfgpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll get you in touch with somebody, or, talk to your financial professional. In the time that we're not going to be in each other's ocular view, I don't know. Auditory view doesn't really make sense either.
Auditory and ocular view.
I guess. Words. In the time that we are not together, there are some things that I'm going to be taking care of professionally. I told you it's going to be 6 months before I can take the MLO again. It is what it is. But there is the Securities Industry Essentials, the SIE, the Series 6, 63, 26, and 65 that I will be studying for and taking. And that's like, I kind of want to come back here and be an investment advisor with the 65 and just be like, y'all, I did it. And there will be more, if not different, stickers on the back of this thing. It's going to be great. All right. And then I can actually tell you guys about like real things and funds and things of that nature. I will always refer you to either write into the show for a personal reason if you wanted to, or talk to your financial professional. But yeah, Brian with the Y, the finance guy, coming right at you. Season 2. It has been so real. Thank you for joining us on the season finale. You want to give the folks a good wave?
Anytime. I'll be back for season 2.
Yes.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Ooh.
I do really bad.
Soon you'll see. That does remind me that I'll be back. Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop talking about bullying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You hit me. You hit the kid. I hit you. Remember that scene? That was great.
Yes.
Bill, thank you. As always, like
Thank you.
this has been an absolute joy to do these every Monday night. We're still going to see each other weekly.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a, oh, well, I don't do the show, so I don't see Bill. No. We actually are friends off camera, like for real. He's one of my best friends. He's my best friend out here. Yeah. So, yeah. Amy doesn't know. We're best friends. BFFs for life, bro. For life. Thank you. It's you curl the.
Yeah, I can't.
He's like.
Here we go.
Yes, that actually makes a whole lot more
Yes.
sense. Live long and prosper. Please,
Don't-
friend,
Don't die, get rich.
choose life.
Live
No,
long,
choose to
prosper.
live. Yeah, the kid from Picard.
No, don't die, get rich.
Don't die, get rich. Ooh, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. In any case, from Studio B, out here in Granite City, GCRX Radio. Thank you. We are next door to the Garden Gate Tea Room, the Board Gamery, Studio C, and the Downtown Diner, who happen to be our sponsor tonight. But we will we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
They're in a transitional period as well, which is
Mhm.
awesome. So, guys, until September 8th, I am Brian with the Y, your favorite guy. You are awesome, amazing, and fantastic. Don't die, get rich.
The Your Favorite Guy podcast is a proud member of the GCRX Radio Network. To feature your organization or business on the show, contact us on Facebook